Hello and welcome to the WonderBaba podcast. My name is Sheena Mitchell. I'm a pharmacist and mum of 3. I'm here to chat all about child and family health. If you enjoy listening to a WonderBaba podcast, I'd be really grateful if you could follow or subscribe and leave a review. It really helps to support the show. Thank you. Today I am joined by Louisa May Hanrahan, who is the founder of Let's Help Direct Provision and also the creator of Let's Match Mums. Thank you so much for joining me today, Louisa May. When you reached out, I was so excited because I was like, I don't know anything about this and it seems absolutely fantastic. So before we dive into the role of Let's Match Mums, can you tell me a little bit about yourself first?
Yeah, so I was born and grew up in Dublin in Ireland. And when I left university, I went straight to working in tech and startups. So a huge part of my background and career before I started working in this area was actually helping grow early stage companies. So if you know Deliveroo, I launched Deliveroo in Ireland.
Wow.
Patreon. I was involved with them over in San Francisco. And yeah, basically when the pandemic hit, I at the time was running my own marketing agency where I was doing marketing for early stage companies. And then I just wanted to do something to help with the way when the pandemic first hit, everyone was just scrambling to try help everyone, and that's how it all began.
Yeah, because at the time, I remember even in work in pharmacy, hospice organisations and that kind of thing reaching out because they just couldn't get the most basic of kind of COVID protection products like masks and hand gel. It was a disaster at the start.
Yeah, when you think about all the different stages during the pandemic, you forget even we couldn't get hand sanitizer at certain points, and
all the gin companies started
I know the toilet rolls and yeah, and basically I'd had friends that had been through direct provision and I'd been learning more about it, and they were kind of the first people that came to mind when resources and stuff were being requested. People in direct provision didn't have access to adequate ways to isolate themselves or to protect themselves through hygiene. They didn't have access to hand sanitizers, masks and whatever. And so I just wanted to do something to kind of help that situation, but it's kind of led me to where I am today.
That's amazing. It's something I thought about at the time, and I remember there was a particular COVID outbreak in one of the direct provision centres. But I suppose the reality is, even researching up before chatting to you, you can have up to 8 individual people from 8 different countries, different nationalities, all in one room. It's not exactly the most conducive environment for infection prevention.
Would have been working in the health service, like the HSE, or be working in hospitals. So they are going out to work, coming back to their small quarters, and everybody, this can be 400 people in one small building in Kildare, and then so it just was the exact environment that would spread COVID.
And can I ask, just to explain to people, there is restrictions. It's just, I think we're as well chat about it as we go along because it's probably easier. But in terms of rights at the moment, so people in direct provision are generally waiting for a decision on international protection. So I know there's been a lot of controversy over the period of time before they can start working within, I suppose, any sector, public or private. How long do you have to be in direct provision now before you can work? Is it 6 months or something?
Yeah, 6 months, but sometimes it can take longer. I have someone whose son has been waiting on even just the basic kind of PPS numbers and stuff. And it's been, I don't know, he arrived in January. I think he's still waiting. So it can take a while, and then it also takes a while to get a job, and sometimes they're in locations that don't have work nearby. You could have someone who's been actually put into a direct provision centre in Dublin, and then they get moved overnight down to the middle of West Clare or something, and they've no car. Actually in West Clare at the moment, a lot of people are being provided transport just so they can work in the nearby towns. But so it's not simple.
And
anyways.
is there supports, if you're coming from a non-English speaking country, like, is there support to help learn English so that you can actually try and get employment?
Yeah, no, that kind of way. Like, it depends where you end up, and there's
It's difficult.
definitely support with courses and stuff, but it's just difficult. Imagine like you're in a country that's so unfamiliar to you, and like you can't read anything. Do you know what I mean? You can't read the government websites. You can't, and like thankfully now with Google Translate, like it makes things like a lot easier. But sometimes people aren't even familiar with using technology. Like, a lot of people in Ireland would struggle using a laptop still. So like, it's complicated.
Overwhelming.
But that is what's great about the like Let's Match Mums program is like so just to explain, like with Let's Match Mums, we connect mums in need of items that are refugees with local mums in their community that have kids items to pass on. But what we find is sometimes the mums kind of become friends and become advocates for their mother in direct provision and like help them out with just the support. We go to this place and they're, either, they're hiring here, or I know someone who works in, this office, and like, sometimes we have people who are accountants and all sorts of things. So it's great to just, Ireland kind of runs by like nepotism, I feel. So, if you have one connection like in the community, like it can help so much.
A big help. And even probably emotional support, not to feel so isolated. Motherhood is isolating at the best of times. You're at home so much more than you ever were with your young kids. And I can't even start to imagine having to flee from a situation of abuse or war and coming into a country that's completely unfamiliar and doing that in an environment where it's completely overcrowded and,
like majority of the women in direct provision like come with kids and young kids at that, and they would be on their own a lot of the time. So they're kind of single, their partners might be left behind or whatever, but they're kind of on their own, essentially trying to raise kids in a very non-kid conducive raising environment. And I don't know, but like I'm not a parent myself, but I've been learning a lot about actually motherhood, and like it is such a change in a woman's like life and lifestyle. And
and even I was like, a lot of mums go on to have their babies, maybe they've come over pregnant, or they've come over with their partner and they've been in direct provision for years. So, they have a second child, and I just, it's a time where you do really need support. And that's why I loved the concept of Let's Match Mums so much, because, I know I have friends here locally and family that I would pass my children's clothes on to. And that's just a normal part of community life. And I think there's going to be definitely some of my friends a bit hard done by now, because I'm like, you're not getting the clothes, you go out and buy your own. There's people here who need them more. I just think it's such a lovely way. It doesn't cost anyone anything to support in this way, and children grow out of things so quickly. Like,
it's actually unbelievable. So like, to give you some stats, like in America, it's like 4.4 billion tons of kids apparel ends up in landfill every year. Like, honestly, like kids grow out of, parents spend on average €1,000 a month on their kids in their first couple of years of life. And like sometimes the kids are grown out of the clothes before they're born, Sometimes the kid pops out and it's skipped, like.
Or they go through this little phase where they go from like, the kind of 6 to 12 months, they kind of miss the 9 months and go straight into, you're like, what happened to you? What have you been eating? Toys, like, even just toys, children get bored of the same toys sometimes. So I actually love bringing my kids into charity shop, and we'll pick up little books or toys and whatnot, and then gift on some of our stuff, so that, look, it's better for everyone. It's better for the environment, and it's just, I suppose, a natural way of community life that during maybe the boom times we didn't focus on enough. And I think this is a lovely way. I really also like what you said about forming relationships, because I think that's so important for your family in Ireland. I mean, they're getting a lovely experience out of it, and it's a really nice thing to get the children involved in as
Yeah,
well,
I had
potentially.
stories about that of the kids. Like, if you look on our website, which is www.letsmatchmoms.com, we have like a review section, which I just put there because I was like, people actually just send me in their kind of stories. And yeah, some of them were like, oh, the kids came and dropped us off and they came home and they felt so delighted with themselves. And even what you mentioned with the toys are like a big thing. We actually like are looking into what more we can do to help pass on toys, because yeah, kids grow out of them so quickly. Like,
Oh, they do.
I think that's the one negative thing of me not being a mom yet, is sometimes I have to learn from the community so much. Like, think about, like, originally I think I matched the first couple of moms with kids the same age, and then they're like, well, the clothes are
The same
and I was
size.
like, oh yeah. So like now we match them with kids, about 6 months younger or a year depending,
Yes.
and based on clothing size. Like, I think, oh, that was it. Originally I was matching them based on the age, but
Yeah.
obviously the 1-year-old can be huge or can be tiny. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much to learn
I know,
when
but
you
it's
become.
so funny with kids as well, because like today Paw Patrol is cool and tomorrow I'm so over it. Do you know what I mean? And what really annoys me as a mum is all of the kind of younger kids' toys are just large lumps of plastic. And that just drives me
Yeah.
ethically mad anyway. I'm like, why do we have so much plastic and why do you want to go out and buy more plastic? I hate it.
Price of everything is what blows my mind. I'm just like,
Yeah.
€1,000 a month is like a MacBook Air every 2 months, and like, you have people going through stuff in carloads every couple of months. Like, carloads of stuff that's
Yeah.
like, okay, baby's too big, or they didn't like this, or the swing set didn't
Yeah.
make them fall asleep, or whatever it is. So madness that there's such high quality stuff that just has no home to go to, basically.
And then when you look at the reality of it, so if you're a mum living in direct provision, you're
Yeah.
getting a weekly allowance of 38.80 and your
Yeah.
child's getting 29.80. Now I know 3 meals a day are provided, but first of all, on the food, I just know with my own kids they need about 7 meals a day for a start. So because there's a gazillion snacks, and I don't know anything about the food and direct provision, but
Not, they're not thinking about the kids.
yeah.
And also, like, a lot of them have come from completely different cultures and feed their kids differently. And then that choice they don't have that anymore. They can't feed their kids the way it's so important to you what you feed your kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, you want them to have the best of the best to nourish them, and then to have that choice kind of taken away.
Culturally, food is actually really important as an identity of a nation. It's a further gap that you would have from you and your homeland to kind of be rearing your child on food that is, look, I'm sure the state are doing their best in terms of that. I'm not going to comment because I have no clue. But no matter what, like, even I know with my own 10-year-old, she is celiac, and
Oh yeah.
I'm going, it's not a choice for her. Like, she will be unwell and sick if she eats anything that's cross contaminated. Like, I just can't even imagine trying to manage that situation. So I think the money, 38.80, you've got to buy nappies. We're talking about toys there. I'm talking about toys. Sorry, it's not you, but in a very first worldy way. Oh, they don't like Paw Patrol anymore. It's like 38.80 a week to live off. Like
It really, like, especially things are getting more and more expensive as each year goes by. Like, think of it like this: like, they want to work, you need to be able to pay for transport in and out to job interviews and whatever. And like that, I had a lady that I literally just, because she couldn't get into town because she couldn't afford it, and so, like, because the bus is like a €10 each way, so that's like 2 days being able to go in. And also the concept that a lot of the mothers have very young kids and nobody to mind them.
yeah.
That's a challenge for them working as well. Like, it's just like, I feel like the women in direct provision just need a helping hand, just that bit of support to get them set up and get going. Just so was some way for them. I haven't heard of childcare being provided yet, but just somewhere that if you're trying to get a job but you have 3 kids that are hanging out of you and you've got €40 and
Yeah.
like you're from a completely different country, so you're not really sure how things work, and and you're trying to figure out. I even had a lady that was really just couldn't figure out what she was allowed work in for her visa, and just helped her read through it properly. Like, she spoke fluent English, but just the way it was worded was really confusing. You know, like, it's just weird. It's just like a helping hand for the mothers to get set up. And like, there are like a lot of organizations doing really cool things like mentorship programs, and they're not able to help everyone. So Alex is why Let's Match Mums is cool, because mothers are taking it on themselves to reach out and connect with the mum in direct provision. It means it's like quite scalable. Like, we're live across Ireland, and we have 9,000 mums in our community now, which is a lot for Ireland. So that means in like Tipperary and Clare and Wexford, we have people matching and kind of reaching out and stuff.
Because for one person on your own, I'd say it's frustrating, because you probably hear so many stories and want to help so many people, and you cannot do this alone. And I think Irish people, you know, are actually really good at understanding the plight of others and being helpful. So I don't know, I hope it continues to grow and grow, because it is such an amazing thing to do. And scale wise, like, so how many families do you have seeking assistance in direct provision at the minute?
So the way it kind of works is we'll have a mum, and they have, however many kids that they need items for. And we match from like newborn up to 18, which was a surprise to me. But think about it, you kids, they arrive over and they're 16-year-olds. Sometimes they're like into kids that's close, they're like 18, but they're 16-year-olds are starting new school and need shoes and stuff like that. But anyway, so we have one mom, but she might need like more than one match, just depending on how many kids she has. So we have about 700 families involved so far. It's actually more than that. I'll have to just check who signed up last week. but that's a lot, especially because there's 4,000 women in direct provision. So about, 25% of the mums are signed up at this point.
Okay. Because the whole thing is, in Ireland at the moment, we're in a period where money is tight for everyone. Costs have obviously been spiraling over the past few months. There's a housing crisis. Like, I don't think there's anyone who isn't affected. So it's nice to be able to join something that you can do and feel really positive about and enriched, that isn't going to cost you anything. It's just the natural progression of passing on your clothes.
What homes are doing anyway. That's what I find. It's a traditional way of passing on your items, and it's giving like refugees access to that when they come, because they maybe in their home country would have had access to that, where they're from. Like, they would have known mothers in their community, and so essentially it kind of, and it's cool because a lot of the mums that get stuff, then they become passing on mums themselves. So, I have mums who are within direct provision that then were like, well, okay, well, do you have anyone I can match with now? So that
full circle,
realistically, like, some of the stuff gets worn like twice, so it can go on a few times.
Absolutely. They all get favorites. So there's items that are really in perfect condition that are barely worn, that would only love the extra lease of life. Yeah.
It's like, what we say is like, don't pass on anything like you wouldn't accept yourself, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the thing is there's lots of great quality items just left over.
To discuss direct provision a little bit, at the moment there is a new white paper to end direct provision, where obviously it became extremely evident that this short-term solution of direct provision is just, well, first of all, it's not actually short-term, it's been a long-term issue. You have mums stuck in direct provision for months and years, So I suppose now they just let people know that there is a plan, hopefully, to move. Now, the year 2024 is bandied around a lot, but I did read a lot of conversations saying that there's no reason that a lot of these things can't be implemented straight away in 2022. But it would involve basically a phase one, where when you come to the state, seeking asylum and ending up in direct provision, that you would, instead of going to, is it 39 direct provision centres there are in Ireland at the moment, or is it more?
Yeah, it's more than that.
More than that. And they're all obviously not built or there's 47, I think. And
There's also emergency accommodation centres as well, which like pumps the number up a bit.
okay,
So they'll have like sometimes like hotels that turn it into a direct provision centre for a
centre.
couple of months. And
Because I saw like only 3 of these centres are purpose built. So, you know, a lot of people actually are in.
yeah, that's why when people talk about direct provision, I always try to be like, look, every centre is actually different. So
Yeah.
there might be one centre where the mums get nappies and enough baby formula, and then there's another one where they're not seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just that, especially when they're down the country, because they're managed by different people too. So you know, the way it's like anywhere, if some people will manage something well and other people won't.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's the whole goal of this white paper, is to step away, you know, have 6 state-owned centres which are not for profit, which obviously is hugely important, and that potentially HICWA would be given a mandate to go in and inspect the centres. So that's really been important. I know even, in my experience in the nursing home, the regulation of nursing homes, private and public and everything. And I think it's good to have very clear standards there on what we expect and for human rights. And then the hope would be that after 4 months in a centre, after an introductory period, that people would be able to enter phase 2 and families would be housed together in an apartment or a house with its own door, or single people would have their own door, own room in whatever situation they can get within the communities, which allows integration and hopefully gets rid of some of that isolation. And I think like if that happens in the next year or two, the importance of Let's Match Mums is only going to grow, because you're going to have people settling in communities and actual friendships being able to be born out of that, and kids to be friends, you know, for people who are living in their community and attending their schools.
So we have mums that will have gotten their papers and now they're able to, you know, move out of direct provision. And one, they find it very hard to find and get accepted into accommodation in their communities due to variety of reasons. It's not just even costs, like, you know, sometimes landlords won't let to people that have come from direct provision, and so that's a challenge in itself. But from, you know, some of our mums who are involved, they'll tell us that can be almost a more lonely time for the mother, because now they've been moved to somewhere else and they don't have any connections. And so we actually do match all like refugees. So I do say direct provision a lot, but we will match people who have been given asylum and have moved into a new community, just because it's actually can be the most lonely, like toughest time for them, because suddenly that, you know, they've gone to having, once again, I guess they've had to move somewhere completely new, and it can be quite a struggle to get an apartment and to get everything together and just to understand the lay of the land. So
and that's, I suppose, where the youth as well can come in. You know, if someone's trying to get a job, as you said there, like childcare is essential. And even if it's a case of before you're able to afford childcare, obviously you need to have a job. So you need to be able to go for interviews. And I think mums can support each other in that way too. I think there's huge opportunity to it. And I think it's lovely and a great way to I suppose, integrate people into society and allow them to become part of our community as they should.
Yeah, I think the mums in Ireland are honestly just like, they're just brilliant. Like the stuff that they tell me, they're like, oh, we went for a picnic in the park, or I've been told they've been helping them, you know, find a job. And you know, the way you're like, oh gosh, it's like, it is something in Ireland that, you know, if you ask like a bus driver to help you get to somewhere, they'll draw you a map. You know, you might be in another country and they'll tell you no and like kick you off the bus or something. But in Ireland, like we do understand how to get people sorted.
And like you say, it can come across like nepotism, but actually a lot of it is probably down to the fact that
that's so true.
But you know, like Ireland actually just is so small that everyone knows someone, and the family's traditionally been so, like, I would say I have a relative nearly in every county. Do you know, you could be like, well, look, I know this person down there and they might help you, and like we're great at hustling our friends and family into helping us out as well.
It's so true. I never actually thought of it like that. It's probably not even nepotism, it's just
Irishness.
It's like, but I actually know somebody, and you could have like went to college and haven't talked in 10 years, but you're like, they work down here, and they'll be, actually, that happened. I had someone who I went to secondary school with, and he is now a lawyer, a barrister, and he gave us a hand at some point,
Yeah.
so just reach out.
And this is the other thing, right? Just to flip it around on the more selfish side, we really, really need to fill job positions in Ireland. Like, companies are crying out for staff. You have people coming into the country of so many different qualifications with such good experience and so much to offer. Like their value as a professional or as someone who has amazing skills just should never be forgotten. And I think that's where, the community is going to benefit by having access to this person's skills and life experience.
No, like the people, women and men that come through, and like the kids, like they're so intelligent and creative and like very highly skilled. Like I had one woman who she'd studied in the area of marketing and then, needed to just get kind of that helping hand here to get started. And Ernst & Young, they do like a mentorship program, and she won like the award going through that program. And now she's, do you know what I mean? She's like she's a superstar. Like, and it's a shame to like not just have the resources there to get people set up, essentially. But like,
that's it. Like once they're established, they'll have the opportunity to thrive. So it's just finding them and supporting them at that really difficult time to enable that. And then that benefits us all because, we've potentially got a new workforce, new friends within our communities. Our children have, I suppose, a wider friendship network. Like I think, there's an awful lot of positives to come out of it.
Yeah, like, and just like the diversity and the new cultures and stuff. And like you can already see in Ireland how like interesting it is and exciting it is to like learn from different communities.
It's great to see in the schools there is a lot of diversity, and I think inclusivity is becoming so much less of an issue. I think our children are growing up in a generation where they don't see something that might have been defined as a difference in the past. And
becoming a bit more open-minded, I think.
Completely.
Like, not everyone, but I think that's the overall goal, is to like learn. And I think we didn't realize maybe how non-diverse we were growing up, and it's definitely, thank God there's a focus on it now. Like,
just because it's our way doesn't mean it's the best way.
I know, but so if anyone's listening, tell your community about it. Like one of the great things at Let's Touch Mums is it's really been spread by word of mouth as well. And we're looking for now more local mums to sign up across the country, especially like in Meath and Clare and different counties. Some of them have more sign-ups than others. So,
and look, I'm living in Meath, and I actually signed up during the week. And just to say, the process was really straightforward. Your website is fabulous. It's so easy to use. As you say there, like it's very close to home to everyone. Like geographically, you're actually, we hear a lot in the news for very obvious reasons about, say, things that are happening in Ukraine and the absolute horrific travesties that are going on there. But with this situation, this is something that we can actually help with on a practical level.
Because people are nearby, like maximum 30 to an hour drive away. I think my closest DP centre is a 15-minute drive from where I am right here.
Yeah. You watch the news with huge empathy and you wish you could help. Whereas here are people who have also arrived from potential war situations. Who need the same support.
Then there's Ukraine. We actually are matching Ukrainians as well, so they're getting help through Let's Match Mums too, which is cool. People can just
opt in, and get the support.
So when I was doing the collection points, we could really only help in Dublin, and even that wasn't sustainable with the cost of storage units and van drivers. Because I had so many mums being like, I'll come back in 6 months and I'll have more stuff.
Yeah, you've kind of basically armed the troops now, powered people to go and
do what they wanted to do.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like that was literally it. It's like the mums wanted to pass on their items to mum in direct provision, and this just lets them do that.
Yeah, the whole thing is completely fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I hope you get loads of new mums for Let's Match Mums, because it's such a good cause, and really I can't see anything but benefit for everyone. So I really appreciate you coming in to talk to me today.